Hello and welcome to this special socially distanced production of the WJHI Coaches Show. I am Wyatt Williams. Along with me, Coach Grant's here. And how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you guys having me on.
That's awesome. So to start us off, we kind of go into a recap thing where we start with some of the games you recently played. So I want to jump back to the New Albany game. Just what did you think of the New Albany game? Some highs and lows. What was the situation?
Yeah, I thought we, obviously we didn't shoot the ball very well that night. That was, New Albany defensively did a good job, but we also had guys that have been shooting very, very high percentages that just had some shots that didn't fall. I think the one thing that we didn't do well, that we've been working on in practice since then. Is just understanding what are good shots in rhythm for certain personnel. Some of that comes with just playing games. That's something that we would have liked to have kind of figured out in the summer, but we didn't have that summer. So right now we're kind of learning on the run with that. So that's some things that we needed to fix. Some things that I liked, even though they came out and hit some shots early. Defensively we held them to 49 points, below a season average for them. So. Our boys have really been buying into the defensive side of the ball. If you look at our last 3 games, we've been 57 points, 49 points, 34 points, to where when we started the year, we were giving up a few more. So we've really been harping on that in practice the last few weeks. I feel a little bit more comfortable about where they are defensively now than where they were 2 or 3 weeks ago. So now we're able to start working more on the offensive side of things and personnel and roles and those type of things.
So you talked about experience being incredibly important for your team, and you guys had to miss a couple of the first games at the beginning of the year. With that being said, how have you guys been working through not just the pandemic, but working through missing those games and kind of bonding together, not just with a new team, but a new coach as well?
Yeah, the camaraderie with the team is great. I mean, the guys get along awesome. It's a very close-knit group. They all care about each other. But it has been. It's weird because, we played going into the New Albany game. We only had played 4 games at that point. I think we only have 7 weeks left of the season. And I was just talking to my coaches the other day. I feel like we're just getting started and the end is right there. And so that's been tough for us. That's been hard because we still feel like we have so much we got to work on and get better at, but yet we're so close to the end. It's just kind of thrown things off. And then again, going back to not having that summer, you talk about a team that the majority, as far as the varsity levels and experience, Will, Brandon, and Kobe, those 3 guys had significant minutes last year at the varsity level. But the other guys are going through taking some of those growing pains right now. That if you go back to my interviews in October, I said we're going to have that, and that's going to be the case. And especially with not having the summer. Normally in the summer you get to try some things, see how guys do in certain games. But right now we're doing it when the games count. And so, but I've been pleased with how they've been responding. They're learning, they're picking up on those things. As a coach, it's so much about trust, trust in the players. As a player, it's so much about trust in the coach. And the only way that you gain that trust with each one is going through the battles, going through that together and learning about each other and learning what to expect in certain situations from the other person. So I really like this group because we're gaining that trust every day. We're building that trust every day. But it is odd because, like I said, I feel like we're just now starting to get to that point where normally we'd be getting to that point just before Christmas break, talking Christmas break, that I'm getting to that point with my team, and now we're doing it a month later because of quarantine and everything preseason and COVID and all that. So, we're trying to speed up that process, but at the same time, you can't cheat that process of building trust.
Sure.
And it's so important. So, but with that being said, these guys are coming in. They're working hard every single day. They're learning every single day, and they've got each other's back, which is huge. So I'm still extremely, extremely excited. And I feel like we're so close to turning a corner and really taking off. And so I'm extremely excited about what we can still, the direction that we're heading and the culture that we're building. And that's a process.
Sure. So you mentioned that you guys feel like you just started, but at the same time, the end is coming. And when you mentioned the end, the playoffs, of course.
Yeah.
So the last time that you coached in Indiana, you coached with Providence. And that is a 2A school. Their sectional is up at Southwestern, which seats, I believe, just under 4,000. Now we head to Seymour, which is 4A. That's just above 8,000. That's a big difference. What has kind of been your process of getting ready for those bigger games? What has been the difference that you've noticed, even though we don't have fans, but playing in the bigger gymnasiums?
Yeah. Not much of a difference. I mean, I know Providence is a smaller school. We were fortunate enough at Providence to play in a lot of the bigger gymnasiums. The year we went to the Final Four. We played in front of 8,000. So for me personally, I've been there and experienced that. Again, like I said, it's just that kind of experience, of our players outside of those three that I mentioned, of just getting comfortable in those situations and those settings. And the only way to do it is to do it. And so, they're getting there and they're learning and they're figuring it out. And again, been very proud of them. They're asking questions, and we're spending a lot of time with them before and after practices and talking through things through games. So, they've been doing a very, very good job of that. So, again, it's just kind of learning on the fly with that for
Absolutely.
those guys.
So, talking about some key players here for your team, Razor Moore and Lovings Watts, who I really want to start off with. They have been the 1-2 punch here for your team so far, both averaging over 20 points per game right now. What has been the main factor to their success so far in this season?
Each other. If it's hard to take away one without giving the other more scoring opportunities. They've been great at both sides. The thing that's really impressive with Will is that his offensive efficiency right now is through the roof. He's shooting 10 of 17 from three on the year. He's shooting over 60% on the year from the field.
Wow.
So he's putting up numbers, but he's doing it efficiently.
Sure.
Without, he's not a volume scorer. He's an efficient scorer, which is huge. He's also leading us in rebounds. He's also second on the team in assists. He's leading us in block shots. So that's pretty impressive. And then you talk about Brandon, and Brandon is shooting tremendously well from deep, and he can stretch the floor. But he's second on the team in rebounds. He is leading the team in steals. He's second on the team in block shots. So their scoring gets looked at a lot, but they're doing so many other things on the floor that are affecting us in a positive way. And then the other thing is the rest of the team, without having those guys buying into their roles and understanding the things that they do well, doesn't allow Will and Brandon to do the things that they do well. So, a lot of their success is their teammates as well. And that's, the great thing about basketball, and the special thing about basketball in a team sport is that, the success of one is the success of all. And so I've been very, very pleased. And the team, they rally around both Brandon and Will when they're playing well and scoring the basketball that gets the rest of our team, hyped up, and they feed off of that.
Sure.
But our other guys, there's not one selfish person on this team that's concerned about that. They want the team success, and they know when those two are playing well that leads to team success. So I've been very excited about that.
So Jalen Ferriman is a great player and about ready to be added to your active roster. What are you most looking forward to with him coming in, and where do you see him fitting, and how do you see him fitting in?
Yeah, he gives us that fourth scoring option. He gives us another ball handler. Kobe Studemeyer has been doing a tremendous job for us. Right now he's averaging, I think, 12, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. So he has been a consistent key for us at that other guard spot. What we need to find is that fourth scoring option, that can really stretch the floor. He is able to do that. His speed, he adds another element of speed to us. He adds another ball handler to us, that can get the ball. So that really, I think, will allow us to play even more at a quicker pace like we want to. So I'm excited. I'm excited for him and him getting on board and what, he can add to the team depth-wise. And what he can add to the team. And the great thing is that he grew up with all of our players. He's from Jeffersonville.
Sure.
So he's been able to seamlessly fit right in because they've all played with him. And
already built some chemistry up.
Yeah, and they already know each other. So that's been great.
So looking forward to your next game. This Friday you're going to play Floyd Central. What are you most preparing for whenever you face a team?
Yeah, so Floyd Central does a lot of things well. Number one, half-court defensive-wise, they do a very, very good job. Hyde Breeder, we all know is a great basketball player and does a lot of things well. But, they also have other players, their length, their height. They do a good job of protecting the rim. And they have some other players that can step out and shoot the ball well. So it takes a lot of pressure off of Jake when other guys are knocking down shots. So big thing with us is we've got to go into that game. We've got to play physical. We've got to make sure that we keep them off the boards. I think we've got to make sure that we get the game a little bit of an up and down pace to where they can't just pack the paint and make it a half-court game on us.
Yep.
That we're able to get the ball into the open court a little bit.
So you guys got to scrimmage each other earlier in the year because both of you had common JCPS scrimmage opponents, and then JCPS hasn't got to play yet, so they canceled that out.
Right.
But you guys ended up meeting up and doing your scrimmage. That way, at least you guys got some kind of a scrimmage.
Right.
What were some of your key takeaways from that scrimmage?
We focused more on us. I mean, we didn't really talk about Floyd Central at all going into that. We didn't show them any of our sets, and our plays, and they didn't show us any of theirs. And we knew that was going to be the case. It was going to be more about just each team kind of fine-tuning their basic stuff and just getting a little bit of play underneath of our belts. So, takeaways from that, though, Jake came out early and knocked down some shots, and so which we expected, and we knew that would kind of be the case. And so we got to see that a little bit, and really it's just more for our guys to just kind of have that feel of what to expect whenever we play them, now during the regular season. So that was good for us, just to play another 4A opponent, and to gain that experience a little bit.
So earlier you mentioned Jake, and you're talking about Jake Hybrider, guard for Floyd Central. Just the other night, he scored his 1,000th point against South Spencer in that game. He is averaging almost 20 points a game. He's a great athlete. What are some of the adjustments that you make as a coach for athletes like that?
Yeah, well, I can't give away too much of the game plan, but
Sure.
But the thing that makes Jake tough is that his height and his length. So if you go small against him and try to go quick, you could pressure him a little bit, like you could any player. But he's able to shoot over top of you. If you go long and maybe go with the bigger guy, if you don't have that speed, then he's able to go around you. So that makes him tough. But I don't want to get too much into any special adjustments. But I think at the end of the day, it's just like guarding any kind of great players or shooters. You just can't let them get a rhythm and can't let them get going early on. And you got to take them out of. Every player has those certain spots on the floor that's kind of their sweet spots.
Sure.
And you've got to take them away from those sweet spots and make them have to make out of rhythm shots in other areas of the floor that they're not comfortable with.
So I know, like you said, you can't go too far into game planning here, but Floyd Central defensively loves the 2-3 zone. That is the Todd Sturgeon specialty there at Floyd Central. He lives by it. He dies by it. So in your opinion, for people who aren't super into basketball, what are the pros and the cons of playing against a 2-3 zone?
Yeah, so the thing that Floyd does with their 2-3 zone is their length makes it effective. Any defense that you run, no matter what it is only as good as your personnel. So they do a good job of using their length there. The pros of the 2-3 zone is that a lot of times you'll get some open jump shots. You get some open outside looks from it. The cons of it is that it's hard to get to the rim at times. So, going back to the start of basketball, there's always been three things, that three ways to beat a zone that are really effective. Well, more than three, but the main three. You got to beat the ball. You got to beat the zone down the floor. The zone's not effective if you don't let it set up. You definitely want to get the ball short corner and middle, and then ball fakes and ball reversals. Always give a zone problem. So knowing that, whether it's Floyd Central or any other opponent, we're focusing on doing those things ourselves and trying to make sure that our guys create those habits and those fundamentals that no matter what the opponent is, that they're executing those things.
So kind of looking around the conference here, New Albany currently leads the conference at 3-0 in conference play. What makes that team play so well in your opinion?
Stanton and Bivens do a good job. Both the two guard spots, are very, very good for them. When they're hitting shots, they're very tough. They made a couple shots early against us, some outside shots, so that makes them tough to guard. But when Thomas, the big kid inside, whenever he's on the floor, and they're able to kind of put him in the middle and basically kind of zone up with him, that gives them some size around the rim that you got to finish around. So that makes them a little bit tougher defensively, with having him on the floor. So if Stanton and Bivens are knocking down some shots, they're tough. And then if Thomas, is able to protect the rim, that makes it hard on, guards to finish over that kind of size.
So Madison is another team that's playing really well in the conference right now. Currently 1-0 in conference play after their win last night against Bedford North Lawrence in overtime, 8-2 on the season as a whole. You guys play them on the 23rd of February. My question to you is, how far in advance do you start preparing for teams?
So me personally, what I will do is I follow all the conference scores and kind of know where standings are and kind of seeing how people are doing. Each one of our assistant coaches is in charge of advanced scouting. So what we'll do is each coach that I have has 3 or 4 opponents, and they'll start right away from day one, start putting together scouting reports on everybody. So they're working on putting all that stuff together. And then what I do is then when it becomes that game week for me, or maybe the week before, I'll start looking ahead and putting together my scouting report, and I'll get with that assistant coach and say, hey, tell me give me everything that you have, tell me everything that you clipped out on them, what are you seeing, and then I'll go back and watch them and kind of use their scouting report to kind of compare it to mine. So I have not looked ahead to Madison yet. I'm right now, as the head coach, my focus is this weekend. Sure. And our two opponents this weekend, but we do have our assistant coaches working ahead and getting that stuff together on future opponents.
So you have been a big guy on academics, which has been awesome for the team so far. As the Jeff Boys basketball Twitter account tweeted on December 14th that the team had a program record 3.4 GPA. What does that mean to you? And not only that, just that it's your team, that they're successful on the court and also in the classroom as well.
I coach basketball to change lives, and hopefully I'm doing that in a positive way. But to me, that's life change. That's not just a culture change, but that's life change. So the ball's going to go flat at some point, and basketball careers are going to end. And you even look at the best of the best in the world. By their mid-40s is the longest that they're going in the NBA.
Yeah.
And so you still have half your life without being able to play the game of basketball. What I'm hoping that our players take away from that is how are you setting yourself up to be successful when the basketball goes flat and when that is no longer there. And even if you still are using the game to make money, you have to make it as a business, in a business way. So that all comes with education. That all comes with academics. That all comes from setting yourself up and not just relying on your physical skills that can be taken away from you in any moment, but your mental skills and your education and those type of things that you build over a lifetime to help prepare you for success in life. And so that's what we're trying to create. That's why we really have some rules in place with our academics that we're really working on, that we really enforce strongly, because I hope that my players, I want them to go on and achieve their dreams in basketball. But I also want them to be able to come back years from now and say, maybe I didn't achieve my dream in basketball, but I'm still successful in life. I'm a good community member. I'm a good husband. I'm a good father. Those type of things. That's the culture that we want to create here.
That's awesome. So I want to thank Coach Grants for an amazing interview. Best of luck versus the Highlanders on Friday night, sir.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And this has been a special socially distanced program here from WJHI 98.5.